Hey, welcome back to Courageous Motherhood. Today, I want to share a little bit about what I've learned over the years of narcissistic cycles. Now, this isn't something that strictly pertains to intimate relationships. It can be family relationships, it can be any kind of interpersonal work relationship or anything like that. And so, one of the core markers in narcissism is the love bombing, then the devaluing, and then the discarding. And so many moons ago, I remember when I began to recognize the pattern. It was like, oh, okay. And it really had to do with having different conversations with different women that were in different phases of this particular relationship cycle. And then I began to see a pattern and try to understand like how this was all working and being held together, because there was definitely some double life living and a lot of denial, but a lot of consistency. And so I started to recognize like, oh, like this is a pattern. This is wild. And so while over the years I didn't really come across that again, I will say in my most recent relationship, that is something that came up. And again, for a while, I did not have enough information to establish the pattern. And I remember when I received certain information that kind of established a pattern, I didn't really judge that person based on that information. I just started to look for the pattern to see if it was still in existence. And then moving forward into some of the things that I've experienced after that, the pattern revealed itself. So I want to say that if you're dealing with someone that has a penchant for living a double life, when you are in the beginning phase of being love bombed, you are most likely dealing with that person as they are in like a devalued discard phase with somebody else in their life. So for instance, many moons ago in that particular relationship, I was kind of coming in being love bombed. Oh my God, you're amazing. We're soulmates. There was a little bit of, kind of like that reverse psychology, like, oh, I don't think you're going to wait for me. I really, want to be with you, but I'm not sure. And I'm like, no, of course, like you're being so honest and like vulnerable about all the things that are wrong and all the things that are happening. Like we can just like grow together, right? And I think most people that have a core value of growth and that are constantly like willing to build with people or just understand that we're imperfect beings and we can work together to grow through those things, that's typically going to be your approach. And so one of the key factors here is that you might be told a lot of real information, but it'll be told to you as if it's past tense, but it's actually present tense. So what do I mean by that? In that phase of getting to know each other, and I believe we were doing some kind of 100 dating question books and all of that. If you can tell by some of these videos, when I'm dating or courting or getting involved with people, there's definitely a lot of pre-work and question asking and exploring, but that has absolutely not saved me or prevented me from getting into toxic dynamics. And so I also want to put that pin there. But these are some of the things that I've learned over the years having been in these situations. And so I was told about a person, I was told that it was done, I was told all about what happened in their relationship, all the information, right? And then I was told that it was done. Trick number one. Then it was, but you're this, you're that, I want to be with you, da 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 da. So as you go through the love bombing phase, you might need to pay attention to the stories that you're being told. More likely than not, they are actually going to be connected to somebody that's probably still in play. So a lot of the stories that are used to trauma bond you or to incite empathy in you or get you to feel bad or sad for that person or want to jump in and help or save that person, which is a personal issue, those people and those situations might actually still be active. They might just be active in another phase of the loop, right? So once you get a little bit of time in that relationship, probably within 6 months, I don't think, particularly if you're dealing with a narcissistic person, I don't think you're gonna get past 9 months without some kind of something. It'll either be around you holding a boundary, you saying no, or you just being human and not being whatever it is that they idealized of you in that love bombing phase. And so in a more recent situation, I realized that some of those stories and some of those things where I was just like, oh man, even that were shared as if like there was a feeling of like regret or repentance around how things ended or whatever the case may be, those are all going to come out in the love bombing phase. That way you get familiar with the names, but you will probably not get clarity on timelines. That's a big thing. So I want you to put a pin in that and remember, when you're talking to people and they're sharing stories, start asking, how long ago was that? Well, what year is that exactly? One of the things that I noticed that I have done wrong is I just listen to amalgamation of stories, which might be intentional or not, I don't know. But you pretty much, they all loop in together into like whatever kind of trauma bonding sessions that you're having. And so you may not actually get specifics, and you might kind of get the order, the chronological order of how things happen, but you're not getting specific dates. So in the two situations specifically that I am speaking about today, which were narcissistic relationships, they were very clearly telling me these stories kind of overlapping but ambiguous about the timeline. So when things happen later on, devalue discard phase, and you find out more information, typically that comes with like timestamps. So you go, oh my goodness, that was like right before we met, or that was during our relationship, or whatever. And so one of the things that I learned early on is that if someone is practicing this, I don't want to say practicing, but if someone is with this particular condition, they always have someone in the fold waiting till you get to the devalue discard phase. Because there's a need for constant validation, there has to be a pipeline of people. So back in the day, I remember as I was assessing things, I wound up having a conversation with one of the women over email. Something had happened, and I had, by randomness, found, I don't even know, what was it? I think I was laying in bed, and my partner at the time had got up and they were working on their computer. I think they left and picked our daughter up from school, our daughters up from school, something. And I, like a bing, and it was like an email, and it was like family vacation something. And I remember looking like, family vacation? Like, we haven't been talking about family vacation. And I found out that this person that was shared and introduced to me in the love bombing phase as a past love interest was not only still a current love interest, but was actively a part of their life, literally in the next city and town over. This person had met my newborn daughter. This person thought that I was the accident, like the person they cheated and had a baby on them with, versus me thinking, knowing, planning with this person, being in relationship with this person, planning to have this child. Like, it was crazy. And so a pattern emerged after I began to not just have that conversation with that person, but then look at all the subsequent people. So one of the things is that there's typically going to be some fling energy depending on how messy and how many loops are going at the same time. But if you are considered like a main supply person, that's typically going to be like 1, 2, or 3 people two or three people overlapping at the same time. So one person is going to have the history. They're going to be around for 4, 5, 6 years or something like that. And typically around year 2, when you've already gone through a couple of waves of devalue, discard, and then you're probably begging them, I don't want to break up, I want to be with you, let's work it out. Whatever happened in that devalue discard phase, that introduced a new person in the loop, and they pretty much have people on simmer. That way, if at any point their main person decides to actually dead the relationship, they have somebody in the pipeline ready to go, and they're not left without their source of validation that they need. Now, sometimes this might be the next relationship. Sometimes this might be just a source of energy. In particular, what I can say, and this is so odd, but sometimes if you've ever seen like someone that you're with, you've seen their exes, and you kind of see a standard of I don't want to say a type, like not necessarily a race, but they generally date this type of person, right? Or they marry this type of person, or they're in long committed relationships with this person. The people that you are getting like cheated on with to kind of attempt to make you feel insecure, or potentially make you feel insecure, or triangulate, I don't want to say that these people look crazy, but these people are typically in a direct contrast to the main folks that they have relationships with, right? And so in this case, those people are typically like 2 to 3, because that's just for validation, tell me I'm amazing, whatever, maybe it's sexual or whatever. That was definitely a part of that. A lot of the smaller people, they were like, I don't know if you guys remember on Craigslist where you could, I guess, pretty much solicit like dates or sex on there. They've long since removed it because they said that it was aiding and trafficking, but there used to be like looking for, and it had all these subcategories, and so there was some pretty interesting and kinky stuff on there that particular person had clicked on. So in that regard, it wasn't that they were trying to develop a relationship, but it was like giving attention to all these other sources that could look whatever kind of way they did, but not necessarily somebody that they would present themselves with publicly. So in that particular time, I remember going, oh, this is like a 4-year, 1-year rotation. So the understanding that I came to, based upon the conversations that I had had with one particular supply, the one that was before me, and the one that came after me, is there's about a 3-year cycle before any person with sense is just like, all right, I'm done. And then begins the deeper work, and you kind of are distancing yourself emotionally. So I came in on like almost a 3-4 year place with the person before me. But then as I was navigating, working on things with this person, breaking up, getting back together, discard, devalue, love bomb, another person came in about 2 to 3 years, right? And so the other thing is, you would be surprised that how many women, or people, I guess I'll say people, will willingly deal with somebody that they know is either married or in a relationship. And so in that cycle, I remember when I spoke to the person after me, years, many moons later, and I will get into like sisterhood in another in another video, the importance of sisterhood. But anyway, he told her, hey, I'm trying to work things out with, my child's mom, and pretty much I'll get back to you. So I wasn't sure if they had already been intimate or anything like that, but like apparently he was very forthright, very honest. She knew that, and she kind of gave some space for him to figure things out. But as soon as I created the boundaries, like, we're done, they were like insta relationship immediately. And so same thing, come to find out, having that conversation with the person before me. So now in this current circumstance, I am not yet divorced, but if I go back and you go and you look at some of my old videos from that November, December time, where there was like silent treatment being given for 2 months almost. It started off with 8 days. And at that point I was just like, yeah, you can never talk to me again. I'm not doing this. It was really impactful in the moment. And so there was a whole span of time there. So in that time, that person joined a church, started building community, started doing a bunch of things that I was requesting as a couple to do. That was like saying, oh, I don't have time. So the time was made in that silent treatment. But guess what other time was made? Connecting with people, not necessarily intimately, but putting them on simmer, so that when the inevitable happens, which is like now having a divorce, these people are pretty much primed to literally begin their relationship almost instantly, because they already have that emotional connection and precedent set because of communication, emotional involvement, and probably whatever other trauma bonding things were shared to get those people in the loop. And so even in this situation, it's about a 2 to 3 year timeline. And then it's like, the other thing to consider, if you're trying to figure out, if you're being devalued and you're like, what's going on? Before you take it personal, one of the key markers in a narcissistic relationship or with a narcissistic person is mirroring. And so I've been doing so much research on so many things regarding this, and my mind was blown when I began to see all the puzzle pieces fitting together. So mirroring is pretty much this perspective that talks about how narcissistic people don't have like a strong core identity that they are grounded in. And so typically in the love bombing stage, they are mirroring the values, the interests, and all of that of the person that they're talking to. So when you are being devalued and they are love bombing someone else in your home space, if you're married and you guys live together or whatever the case may be, you'll start to see them mirroring the person that they are cheating on you with or talking to while they are devaluing you, giving you the silent treatment, getting ready to discard you. Now, the thing to understand here is that at no point can they truly be alone. So they're figuring out if this next person that they're interested in is going to be worth it. They're testing the waters. They're doing all of that. That's why you haven't been discarded yet. But when you start seeing different things pop up and things like that, I remember specifically asking this person about another person that was kind of leaving whatever, a person of interest, right? And instantly, no, that person's not my type, kind of dismissed it, right? So pretty much all the themes from things that are connected to that world started showing up in their life. All of a sudden, all the proteins, all the bodybuilder stickers and things like that on their water bottle. And I didn't really think anything of it in the moment per se, because literally it had been months before that. I think that was probably in April that we had the conversation about that person. So that's energy. I'm not saying that they were dealing with each other or anything like that, but that person became a source of supply, whether it was through friendship validation, whether it was through emotional cheating validation, whatever it is. And then subsequently, I know in that same time, there was a album that was made that was in Spanish. And I remember thinking like, oh, that's dope. And I think when we were talking about it at another time, they were like, oh, I made it for you. I made it about you. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then subsequently finding out that somebody that's like in the loop right now is a Latino person, I was like, oh, he started talking to her back then, period, whether it was as friends or anything like that. And so now it's like this inspiration. And so pretty much you will start to see the person that you're in a relationship with that's narcissistic begin to mirror all these bits and pieces of the supplies that they're testing out. Now, whether or not that, proves true and sticks around or anything like that, it is what it is, right? But it's consistent. So similarly, in that older relationship, I started to see different shifts and changes in interest. And so that's something as well that you can pay attention to when you are in that devalue stage, or you feel like, why is this person acting like I'm nothing now? Yesterday, I was like the best thing. I was their soulmate and all of that. And then now I'm like nothing. I'm the worst person on earth and all that. So love bombing. In that devaluing phase, this is the part where it's like you have to be the enemy. This is the phase where you are probably suggesting counseling. You probably had some, I don't want to say like boundaries and things that you put in place about what you needed. You might actively be in counseling. You might be reading some books together. You might be doing all the things. You are working on your relationship, right? But somehow it just isn't working out. This person is testing out, figuring out this person will do, that person will do, and they're pretty much coming to a decision about whether or not they actually need you at all, if you're valuable at all. It's not a normal relationship position. None of it is actually about ultimately working on things. You might be told, yeah, let's do the counseling, let's do this. I want to be accountable. I want to talk about this. And you might even be doing work yourself where you're just like, no, like I need to be accountable as well for this. But your accountability in that space and their accountability in that space, this is like a facade. They know that you are on the way out. In their mind, you're already on the way out. This is not about longevity and things like that. It might be longevity to keep you around, but not longevity to build a foundation and a solid relationship with just you. So then fast forward, when you get to the discard space, that's where you could literally be poop on the bottom of their shoe. Like, it's almost like you don't exist at all. And now they are fully in love bombing, like establishing relationship phase. So they're getting all the source that they need from their new supply. And so again, over the years, looking at these patterns, I am actually amazed right now at how freaking consistent it is. And I just want to educate and, first of all, let you know you are not tripping. You're absolutely not tripping. If you feel like, well, wait a second, like we're working on things and I thought that we were doing this, and then like erratic behavior comes up, and then all of a sudden your whole relationship is tossed to the side, that you are typically going through the devaluing place. They feel like they're getting enough attention and validation from outside sources, outside of your relationship, and they just don't need you anymore. Like, meh, it's cool. Now, when inevitably those new people, and this is the cycle. So when you hear, and I've been seeing a lot of people say like, they will not break up with you. They will not break up with you. First of all, they need to be a victim in that. Like, they need you to be the person that says enough is enough, so that they can go, look what they did to me, they left me, without talking about all the stuff that comes behind it. Now, it's also important to say here, people that are in these relationships that are on the other side of the coin, we are not like perfect people, not by any stretch of the imagination. Typically, we are dealing with codependency. We're probably also dealing with a lot of trauma, probably. At least I know I am. One of the things I mentioned in the previous video was about being like in a heavy grief season, getting into this relationship, and the fog of grief being over that. And so there's a lot of things that people have to say about particularly narcissistic people, but the thing to understand is that it takes two to tango. And so even as we're sharing this, and you might feel validated and being like, oh my gosh, that's my story, or understanding certain pieces, how they relate to your life, this is really about sharing the tools and identifying things. And I'll talk a little bit more on another video about the work to be done within us, people on the other side of that, because there are things that we're contributing to this dynamic as well, to even be getting involved with these people.